Hello everyone, Mars transits in the sign of Leo between July 21st and September the 5th, 2021, where he becomes energized, determined, and very focused. However, please note that to get into this sign, he has to pass over a dangerous Gandanta point where chaos will ensue. I have the details what this will mean from your sign and indeed for the world. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. If the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. Please take careful note, everybody, of the Mars-Gandanta transit. 19th until the 22nd of July are the dates to mark carefully in your diary. When the water and fire signs mix, it is a perilous and dangerous crossing. As Mars transits from the cardinal sign of Cancer, where he is debilitated, to the fixed sign of Leo, where he becomes strong, there is a complete destabilization of Mars energy. Be very careful during these few days, everybody. Don't sign anything, make any commitments. Don't expect agreements to go as you planned. Relationships become fraught. Everybody's a bit on edge, panicky, because new factors are coming up at every moment. Emotions are just at the boiling point when Mars is in Gandanta. So it won't be easy to stay calm, but that's what you have to try to do. After 22nd of July, when Mars goes forward, you can start to make plans. At least you can start to have more certainty about what's going on. So let's have a look at the ongoing astrology. 21st of July 2021, Mars enters Leo, as I say, at 0 degrees Leo, still Gandanta. What you must know about Mars in Leo is he's happy in this sign. In this sign, fire sign Leo, he becomes strong, courageous, proud, brave, determined to do what needs to be done. He is not afraid of anything in this sign, but right away he is distracted by a conjunction to the planet of pleasure, Shukra. Now, Mars conjunct Venus in itself is not a harmonious combination. Venus stays in Leo until August the 11th, everyone. So from this moment until August the 11th, Mars and Venus are in a conjunction in Leo. It creates disharmony in relationships. It's a very troubling transit, actually. People think Mars and Venus together, it's all love and passion. Well, it's true that Venus becomes inflamed by Mars, but Mars is the god of war, and Venus is, as you know, going to promote peace, harmony, and relationships. War and relationships is not a happy combination. So there's a great deal of pressure and disharmony and dispute in personal relationships when Venus and Mars are together. The problem for Mars in Leo, though, is that during his transit, he is forming a very strong T-square configuration. Can you see this? Where he is opposing to Jupiter and squaring by the fourth aspect to K2. This means that the courage and energy of Mars in Leo is being inflamed and in some way helped by a powerful retrograde Jupiter, but that the energy is being sucked out in both directions by K2. Jupiter, of course, signifies freedom, pushing ahead regardless of boundaries. Just a few days before July 21st, on the 19th of July in the UK, so-called Freedom Day is about to occur when the government are pushing aside all or most of the COVID restrictions. Scientists have warned against it, and well, they may actually, I have to say, because it's beginning on a Gandanta of Mars. Chaotic results and a great deal of distress are very likely to result. More than that, if we bring Rahu into this configuration, can you see, we are actually going to have what is known as a grand cross forming in this way. What's happening is there's a boxing in of energy occurring from Mars, K2, Jupiter and Rahu all together in the fixed signs. There's so much determination and enthusiasm, Mars, Jupiter, indeed, of desire because of Venus and Mars, that people are pushing out the boundaries. But because of this configuration, many people will take on more than they should in this period, and you should be aware of this tendency. In the end, it will be like you're going round literally in circles in this way, with nothing really being accomplished, though so much is attempted. Especially things come to a crisis when the Sun moves from Cancer and into Leo, crossing over once again the Gandanta point. Note the dates carefully in your diary, everybody. August the 16th, 17th, the Sun is in a Gandanta situation, moving into the fire and water combination from Cancer to his own powerful sign of Leo. Now, when the Sun is in Gandanta, everybody is thrown off because the Sun is the king, authority, the government. Expect governments worldwide to go into a quite chaotic state in these 2 days. At the very least, there's a lot of shifting and changing of public policy and a great deal of doubt and confusion coming into everybody's mind. If you yourself are in any leadership position, take care to not make any key decisions on these 2 days. The good news is that the Sun, being an own sign of Leo after August the 17th, is going to help everybody because Mars and the Sun are very good friends to each other. Mercury being here is absolutely fine and gives good, clear instructions to everybody. Venus has left and become debilitated now, so is not inflaming and distracting Mars's purpose. But still, do you note the Sun is also now involved in this square situation, this T-square in fixed signs and the Grand Cross itself. So definitely now the government has come on board to try to sort out some of the confusion, but there's still a limitation, there's still a boxing in of energy. But after August 16th, 17th, you will definitely feel more certain in your direction, most people. Let's discuss the Mahadasha impact according to which Mahadasha you are running. Now, not every Mahadasha is affected by every transit, and the Mahadasha is affected by Mars going into Leo this year will be the Sun, Ketu, Venus, Jupiter, and Mars Mahadasha. Let's start with the Sun. If you're in Sun Mahadasha after the 17th of August, everything takes off in your life. There's a surge of energy as the Sun enters own sign of Leo and is in a conjunction to Mars. You will start something. You will feel focused and full of energy to know what you have to do. But don't forget this Grand Cross energy, this T-square going towards K2 is still going to impact. Don't expect all your plans to come together now. Don't expect anything to be smooth for you, but you will certainly have more power at your hands in those weeks than you've had for some time. For K2 Mahadasha people, during this Mars transit, as Mars aspects fourth aspect to K2 in Scorpio, you will get power from this. You will actually find secrets, knowledge which you've been looking for some time. Hidden things become known to you. Even hidden objects can be found at this time. Mars Mahadasha, as always, you are impacted by the transit of Mars, and this time it's going to give you so much to do that you won't know where to stop. You won't have a minute to yourself with so much power energy. But as I've said, it's so locked in, it can feel overwhelming to you. You need to have patience at this time. You're going to attempt to do so much that you may actually end up doing very little. You have to pace yourself very carefully if you have Mars Mahadasha. Also, because Venus is transiting with Mars in Leo right up until August the 11th, and Venus is the opposite sign to Aries and Scorpio, therefore affects Mars so strongly. Everybody running Mars Mahadasha will find that there are important relationship discussions at this time with your nearest and dearest and even close friends. But for some of you, it will develop into quite a lot of tension and passionate discussions. If you are looking for a new relationship, there can be sudden infatuations and certainly interesting developments may be there. Same thing applies for Venus Mahadasha people. To have Mars, the opposite to Venus in the two signs Venus rules, coming together in Leo. Equally for you, there can be sudden infatuations, meeting people, sudden attractions happening, but you're likely to be taken in very quickly by these because Venus gives you this easygoing nature about everything. So look into people very carefully during this time period and watch for difficulty with finances. Venus coming together with Mars, you can just make big mistakes in your business and spending at this time. Impulsivity goes over the top at this time. You have to be careful if you are in Venus Mahadasha financially. Finally, Jupiter Mahadasha people, Mars is looking directly at you in this transit. Jupiter is strong and retrograde, but actually Jupiter can use the energy of Mars. So you'll be moving forward, ready to make very important decisions in the autumn from this point. But just like every other factor now, you are a little bit hemmed in by the nodal axis. So you're trying to reach for a new decision in your life. Just hold on. There's just a little bit further to go. Let's move on now to the transit readings. Don't forget to read from your Vedic moon as well as from your Vedic ascendant to get the best interpretation. Timestamps, as always, are below the video. For Aries moon and Aries Lagna, Mars is your Lord of your 8th house too. He brings dramatic changes into your life, but always pushes you forward against the obstacles. He's in the 5th house, a tricky situation for him to be, but he's going to give you loads of energy here. He's going to enthuse you to take risks, and that's the thing you have to watch out for. In which areas will you take the risk? Again, it depends on your personal circumstance, but the 5th house rules education. You may make a dramatic change of education course or start something completely different on an impulse during this time. Children may have difficult situations, particularly health matters, as Mars is actually aspecting the house of hospitalization. They may need attention at this time. Financially, though, it's the biggest factor. Mars here inclines you to reckless behavior, but he could be lucky for you if you have benefics 5th house and 11th house. The conjunction of Venus, your 7th and 2nd house lord, in your 5th house with Mars means many important conversations with your spouse and partner, which could be good because Venus and Mars coming together means it's a make or break time in relationships for many of you. You've got to come to agreement now, particularly about financial and family affairs. If you are single, a very strong chance of a new attraction coming into your life, particularly from your network circles. But perhaps the best part of this Mars transit for Aries will be when the Sun, who is such a good planet for you, being the Lord of your 5th house of past good karmas, conjuncts to Mars in the same house, transiting in your 5th house during the end of August, from August 17th onwards. So although they're not exactly conjunct, they're in the same house. So Sun and Mars coming together in your 5th house will give you right direction. You will make the right decisions after August 17th. Your health will improve. You'll feel so much more vitality and joy in life when the Sun joins Aries in this house, and it will improve children's health as well. Taurus moon, Taurus Lagna both. Mars going into the 4th house of your chart brings a lot of activity on the domestic front, but it's not that easy for you because Mars is your 7th lord and your 12th lord. It's not you, it's your partner or your business partner. Or it might even be contention with your boss at work. But there's some contention about your living space, and you have to take a lot of action around this. There can be problems with your living environment, things not working, things needed to be mended and fixed, and it's all happening and taking a lot of stress actually to yourself. Why? Because your ruler Venus is coming in contact with Mars in this same 4th house. For some of you, serious conversations with your spouse have to happen because Venus is your lord, Mars is your 7th lord, and it's all about where do you live, who do you live with, what are you going to do with your home. So serious conversations have to happen, but domestic move at this time will be difficult, will be challenging because of the hemmed in situation I've just discussed on this video. Now, the aspect of Mars onto Jupiter in your 10th house is very important. There's got to be a change in your working environment, which may include domestic changes as well in your workplace, e.g. office space may change where you work. Are you going to work from home? Are you going to go into the office? Are you going to change where you actually work when you are in work? It's all about where you feel at home. Some of you may have had enough of a difficult changing situation and decide to just cut your losses now in regard to this job situation. Be cautious though, because as I say, planets are hemmed in and you are feeling hemmed in with this. Take advice before you make to dramatic moves, because don't forget, Mars is having a very important aspect to your house of income. But the good side of Mars aspecting 8th aspect to the 11th house does show that even if there is some insecurity in regard to your long-term income and some temporary loss possibly occurring, long term you have potential for higher income, and sources of this will open up to you and give you really good future focus during these next few weeks. And when the Sun goes into his own house, 4th house, after August 17th, you will sort out definitely and make excellent decisions in regard to career and domestic situation. Gemini Moon, Gemini Lagna. Thank goodness Mars is moving finally into your 3rd house. Mars is so happy in this house. He's going to work well for you. He's a difficult planet though for you because he rules 6th house, contentions, litigations, health problems, and 11th house of difficult network situations, punishments, but also of course the income which you require. So 11th house and 6th house are difficult houses, but here's the thing, Mars is going to deal with all the problems for you because he's so strong in this position. First thing he will do is deal with the litigations, the conflicts, and the health problems. Mars's 4th aspect will destroy your health problems. He will destroy your conflicts. You will win the day. You will get good legal advice. You will get on top of all workplace situations that have been getting you down for so long. And as I say, health will improve with dramatic and swift action on your own part. You will also get very good advice because Mars has an opposition aspect onto the 9th house of Guru, Father, those who advise you. Mars here is going to give you the real edge when it comes to settling disputes. You're going to come out on top where you've been unsure before. Your confidence is going to go through the roof in these next few weeks. You're going to be on top of everything. And most of all, you're going to be on the move. Mars aspecting Jupiter in the 9th house means you're definitely going to be traveling, many of you into foreign lands. Travel is good for you, Gemini Moon Lagna, at this time. You're a bit impulsive. You may lose some objects. You may be in a rush all the time, but you will enjoy the journey. Mars aspecting Jupiter in your 9th house. You will have very enjoyable travels. The difficulty is in your workspace, in your employment. So many sudden events may occur definitely in your career, many unexpected changes, and you will have to be on the ball to deal with them. But guess what? Mars in the 3rd house can deal with anything. So you will be not taking anything lying down. There may be contention with the boss, contention with colleagues. There may be some strong words spoken. But in the end, Mars 3rd house, you sort them out. You put your own view forward strongly and with conviction. So you can actually fight any difficult situation to come out on top. As I say, litigation, conflict, you're the winner this month. But here's the thing, Mars here shows that there is a difficult, tense work situation which needs to be sorted, and sharply. Even if you have to say goodbye to a not productive situation, you should do that now, because Mars is putting you in a good mood to find a good resolution. When he goes into your 4th house, which will be in September, you will definitely make that workplace move you've been wanting to make for quite a while. The conjunction of Venus with Mars in your 3rd house could show for some of you looking for new romantic new connections, that you meet people through your siblings and your local neighborhood environment, very possibly shown there. And these could be exciting encounters for you. In regard to long-term relationships, there's a lot of talk, a lot of ongoing, challenging maybe conversations between you and your partner, but they can be constructive, especially if you travel together. That can be favorable at this time. Also, when the Sun goes into his own strong sign, 3rd house, you become even more emboldened to speak your mind with everybody. When the Sun is there, be careful. That's where you may go a little bit over the top. So from the end of August 17th, Watch your words, watch your conversation. You may have some challenging situations to face there, especially with work colleagues and siblings. So you don't want to ruin all the good vibes, because Mars here is a very powerful motivating factor for you. Cancer, Moon and Lagna, it's all about your financial security this month, and it's going to be good. Mars powering into your second house in Leo, followed by the Sun from the middle of August, is going to shine a light on your family finances, wills, legacies, business deals, and you're going to sort them out. Now, sometimes Mars here can cause your speech to go a little bit angry and caustic, and there can be family problems definitely at the beginning of this transit. Watch out for family tensions getting to boiling point, particularly because Venus will be here with Mars. Venus rules your fourth house. It's all to do with your domestic and family happiness, but financial situations either in your relationship or in your own situation are coming to a crisis point, and family members may need your help, and there is such a lot of pressure on you to deal with these situations. So Cancer, you've got a lot on dealing with matters a little bit outside of your control in these next few weeks. In addition, Mars is the Lord of your fifth house of children, and in the second house, aspecting this house, you have important decisions to make about children. They may be having difficult situations and they may need a lot of your attention, or some of you are starting a family at this time and there is a little bit of contention around this occurring. There is definitely a lot of joint finances to be sorted with your spouse, and it's not easy. So it's all about where you are feeling secure at this time. If you are a student, there are big changes ahead, most definitely. Mars is Lord of your education in life, Cancer, because he rules your fifth house. Now he's aspecting the fifth house and the ninth house of higher education. Definitely you're going to make a very important decision now. Do you leave a course, start a course? What do you do? It's going to be a financially led decision, definitely, but it's going to be the right one. You're going to make the right decision. Don't be fearful. Take advice, because Mars aspects the ninth house of gurus, but also teachers and father and those who advise you. Listen to what others have to say. But because it's the eighth aspect, there may be some contention. There may be quarrels with your father, quarrels with people who advise you generally, because you've got a very fixed and different idea of what you want to do with your future than they have. So expect some contention in regard to elders and advisors, but in the end you will make the correct decision for your education at this time. For Leo, Moon and Leo Lagna both, Mars is coming into the first house of your chart. This is good for you because you are actually in tune with Mars on every level. Your Lord, Sun and Mars are very friendly to each other, have the same purpose, and Mars is your Atmakaraka. So you're now on the point of doing the things you've been wanting to do for so long. You've been thinking about them for a long time when Mars was in your 12th house, and now there's nothing stopping you. You're just going to go out there and do these things, but take caution. When Venus is with Mars in your first house, you become distracted. Venus is not an easy planet for you always. So take caution. Take caution, particularly some of you dealing with females at this time. There may be romantic distractions or friendship distractions, whatever it is, male or female. You've got to keep your own counsel a little bit longer. When the Sun comes into your first house after August 17th, then whatever you do will have a much better chance of success. The first part of this transit, there's a lot of energy going into your home life. You're making big changes. Many of you moving home, changing the domestic environment in a big way. It's what you want to do. It's all happening under your steam. But while your Lord Sun is still in the 12th house of your chart, things don't go according to plan. Only when the Sun is in your own sign, as I've said, after August 17th, do things move much more smoothly. There's going to be some contention with your nearest and dearest, spouse and business partners though, because as you push out your agenda, you're not backing down, and it's going to cause some levels of contention. If you are involved in any business situation, there could be major splits and major disagreements even during this period. Mars's 8th aspect onto the 8th house means that you have to make very sound financial decisions now, and you will have no doubt doing this. You will just cut your losses in so many areas. So your spouse is going to be dealing with somebody who's very determined and very focused in this next month, and let's just hope that they can take that on board. The good news is that Mars in your first house should help your health situation, all of you, especially once again after August 17th when the Sun comes out of your 12th house into your first house. You will make a change in your health, in your fitness, in your diet and in your whole routine. You will definitely not be afraid to make changes that will benefit your health during this period. So you are invigorated, determined and very purposeful at this time. Make the most of the energy at your disposal. Virgo, Moon and Lagna. Mars is the lord of your 3rd house and 8th house. He brings conflict and tension into your life, and now he's gone into the 12th house. So all of the tension and conflict goes into your subconscious mind. You get fearful feelings during this time. You become afraid of things that you shouldn't be, and you just need a lot of time alone. But because Venus is with Mars, this can be helpful to you actually. You can gain from time alone, time in meditation, time in retreat. Because Mars increases the phobias and fears, and you just feel that any communication with others is being misunderstood. Mars in the 12th makes very contentious communication for you from the 4th aspect into your 3rd house, especially with siblings and work colleagues, particularly because he also aspects 6th house. Some of you may have plans to take foreign trip at this time, but the contentious aspect of Mars to the 3rd house of travel means that many changes have to be made to these plans. But definitely you need some time alone. You need the retreat that Mars demands here. You need to get away from contention. The trouble is that Mars has an 8th aspect to the house of spouse. So important conversations are going to happen with your spouse's tension between you because of unsaid things. The more you can be open, even though you don't feel like being at this time, it's going to help smooth things over. Take care of your health. As I said, stress levels are very high with this 12th house Mars, and the aspect onto Jupiter in your 6th house means that there are so many niggling ailments now that you are dealing with. But Mars aspecting 6th house can be good for your health. It can help you to get on top of niggling ailments by taking a new approach completely. Mars, of course, aspecting the 7th house also represents consultation. So having a completely different consultation with a new health expert may help you to get on top of these niggling ailments. So it's very much falling back on yourself in these next few weeks, and it's going to benefit you if you just accept that you need time alone, that you're not ready for a new move. Particularly if you're in business, be careful. Mars's 8th aspect to the 7th house of marketplace from the 12th house means that you're not seeing things clearly now. You're a little bit too fearful and afraid of things. So just don't make major financial moves at this time, particularly in business. Wait until Mars goes into the 1st house, giving you much more clarity and confidence at that time, which will be from the middle of September. But most of all, make the most of the time to go within. Mars rules astrology, of course, and being in the 12th house with Venus can give a lot of pleasure from study, from time alone studying, gaining tremendous insight at this time. For Libra Moon and Libra Lagna both, Mars is always a tricky planet for you because he rules two Marika difficult houses, the 2nd house from Scorpio and the 7th house from Aries. But this is nonetheless a great transit for you because although he brings difficulty into your life, when he goes into the 11th house, he sorts out many of these problems and things come to a good resolution for you. First of all, Mars in this 11th house is going to be a very busy few weeks for you. There's so much coming and going. You're going to be very active in your career and actually in your friendship network circles also. There are many people who are going to come out of the blue to help you resolve many ongoing problems. Mars aspect, the fourth aspect to your second house, means a definite change in financial structure in your life. You can sort it out. This month you will get on top of financial worries and concerns. You will cut back where you need to, and you will definitely find that your financial situation is going to be more stable long term than you thought. Mars 11th can often show new sources of income also. In addition, Mars having a fifth aspect where Jupiter is placed in your fifth house shows you may be feeling a little bit like taking a risk, some of you, depending on the planets in your fifth house. Libra, you're a very business orientated person. You don't normally make unsound, risky ventures financially, but you may be tempted to them. Have a little bit of caution in regard to that. Children may be really active now, having a whole new phase in their life, and you are actively involved helping them. Some of you also may be thinking of starting a family at this time, and if that is the case, it's probably going to be very successful. Mars's aspect onto the sixth house is good for your health. You're finally extremely disciplined during this time. You're having marvelous discipline over your desire for sweet foods. It's always a big factor for you. You're containing your eating, you're doing your fitness routine. So generally speaking, it's a very good time for your health. Also, you are able to overcome contentions, quarrels in the workplace that have bothered you. You're not a person who likes contention, and very often you shy away from it. Mars makes you unafraid to face even your competitors. Also, your Lord Venus makes a very important conjunction transit up until August the 11th in Leo in your 11th house. This is your Lord with the Lord of your 7th house. You and your partner are spending a lot of time thinking about the future, making plans for the future, and it's going to go very well because of the aspect to Jupiter. So it's a very good time for looking ahead, finding harmony with your partner at this time, because your partner's under a fair amount of stress also, because Mars here, as I said, is involved in this square aspect showing a hemmed in effect. So your partner's feeling hemmed in, your partner's feeling under stress. You can come together and help each other at this time. And if you are seeking romance, you're definitely going to find it in your network circles. With your close network friendship circle, there is a very strong possibility of a new attraction during these next few weeks. For Scorpio, Moon and Lagna, your ruler Mars going into the 10th house of your chart, being also your 6th house lord. He brings conflict into your workplace, but he moves things on in the way they've been needing to move for some time. It's a dramatic change time in your work career situation. You are in charge of it though. You are driving this agenda. There may be conflict with work colleagues and even with your boss. Or if you are self-employed, you've got to make a complete change of direction, a complete shift of emphasis in your career in these next few weeks. But just like everybody else, as I've just explained on the video, there's a boxing in of energy in these cardinal and fixed signs in the Kendra of your chart. So it won't be an easy change, but you will be determined to make it. When does it get easier? When the sun himself comes into your 10th house from August 17th. Sun and Mars, of course, in the 10th house is in the house of government itself, and the sun rules government agencies. So there may be contention with government agencies of some sort during these few weeks. But again, you have the power to come on top of this, whatever the contention is. The good news is that Mars's fourth aspect is on the first house, you. So you take control of your own health. You may change your diet, exercise. You may really get on top of some long-standing health issues with enormous energy and enormous discipline at this time. The aspect of Mars onto your fourth house is going to make so much going on in your domestic sphere, a lot of changes and renovations even, but you're able to get on top of these situations as well. In fact, a lot of your energy gets sucked up into these home and family concerns. But again, Jupiter is going to help you sort out long-standing problems here. He is retrograde and powerful. Mars's eighth aspect is challenging always, and it's onto your fifth house of education. Some of you are going to leave an education course at this time, never looking back. Some of you will be signing up for a completely different educational route for yourself. Take advice, but generally speaking, it should be really good for you. It's a complete shift of direction. For some of you, Mars's aspect onto the fifth house of children as well as education may show that children are undergoing stresses and changes at this time, taking up a lot of your energy. Also, because Venus is with Mars in the 10th house, Lord of your 7th, it's all important that you get agreement with your spouse now. You and your spouse are thinking about the future and thinking about a whole new direction, possibly major domestic changes also. And if you are seeking romance or new relationship, Venus coming together with Mars in your 10th house shows that you can meet potential romantic partners in your workspace or through work connections. Sagittarius Moon and Sagittarius Lagna. Mars is such a good planet for you. He rules the 5th house, bringing back all your past life good karmas, and the 12th house, giving you deep spiritual understanding. Right now, he's in the most important dharmic house of all, the 9th house. Of course, malefic struggle here, but still it means that you will be active, traveling widely during this time, many of you into foreign land. Mars in the 9th is going to give you an optimistic, forward-looking factor in your life, but it's going to bring you into some conflict, mainly with gurus, teachers, people who are advising you in any way. Mars in this position makes you unlikely to take people's advice. You're in a little bit of a contentious move, fighting everything. You're extremely philosophical though at this time, so new philosophies and new thought process, new ideas come to you during this transit. The aspect of Mars onto Scorpio in your 12th house shows that you're making big changes in regard to foreign settlements, and even connections to your siblings are becoming a little fraught at this time. There's a lot of tension dealing with them at this time, and Mars aspect onto the 4th house of home ties in with the 12th aspect. Some of you are completely moving, changing home base, or making such a dramatic change to your home that it will not be the same. It's all about making a new space for yourself where you feel truly at home. Now, as I've said, Mars in this 9th house inclines you to travel and to a lot of movement, almost not standing still for a minute actually during these next 6 weeks. But Venus coming with Mars here, and Venus being the Lord of your 6th house, could show some contentious moments in your travel. Watch out for that. You may lose objects. You may find that you miss connections. All of those things can happen. Venus is distracting you with this Mars. But if you are looking for romantic connections, Venus connected to Mars in this 9th house can show you that in your travels you can meet a new attractive partner. That can sometimes be seen, or from your siblings and local neighborhood circle. There could be potential also there. Venus and Mars, though aspecting Jupiter here, shows a big plans in connection with your siblings. For some of you may come a little unstuck during this period. Capricorn, Moon and Lagna. Mars is a good planet for you because he rules the 4th house, but tricky sometimes financially because he rules the 11th house. And that's what's going to come out in the next few weeks. Mars goes into the 8th house of sudden changes and difficulties, but Mars is good in this house. Mars will get to grips with the difficult financial decisions you've not been able to take for some time. Important amount of sorting out has to happen now, because Mars aspects fourth aspect to the 11th house of income and second house of wealth itself. So Mars in this 8th house means for many of you important changes and decisions and actions have to be taken in regard to savings, pensions, even wills, legacies, family affairs and inheritances. But you're not afraid to make these difficult decisions. You will get on with them superbly. Mars is your fourth house lord. You make the right decisions financially, coming from the core of your being, because Capricorns have an instinct for finance. So you will make dramatic decisions, changes that will work out well for you. But still, it's the 8th house. So expect some unexpected factors coming up in relation to your income. You may have sudden changes, some of you, but nonetheless, you will make these work for you as well. It's a very transformative 6 weeks for you. You make such dramatic changes in subtle ways into your financial stability that you're going to come out stronger after this time. But that doesn't mean there won't be some contention, however, because Mars as your fourth lord has everything to do with your happiness and your security. And he's aspecting strongly your second house of family, your third house of siblings, and third house by 8th aspect means contention and quarrel. So there's a lot of egos getting bruised this month, family concerns. You are taking a big responsibility for your family, some of you at this time, and siblings are becoming a little bit contentious. The 8th house is of course a house of secrets, so Mars being here, and of course when the Sun joins Mars after August 17th, you're going to be in quite a secretive mood, keeping a lot of your feelings to yourself. You're going to be working out things in your head before you make definite moves in life. And those of you into astrology, occult study, wow, it's a major time for making advancement in this science. Mars rules astrology, and being in the 8th house gives you great knowledge here. And the Sun just lights up all of this occult science for you. Venus is ruler, of course, of your 5th house of pleasure and romance, and going into the 8th house, conjuncting Mars. For some of you, if you are looking for new romantic connections, you're very likely to find it now. The issue is you're going to want to keep it secret, keep it under wraps again. It's a very passionate connection happening in this 8th house, very transformative to you, but you may not be able to take it forward at this point in time. Aquarius, Moon and Lagna. Mars is in the 7th house of your chart for this transit, and of course Venus joining as well. It's a passionate and dynamic time in your relationship. Sometimes you're coming together, getting closer, and sometimes there's so much contention and difficulty between you. Mars and Venus opposing Jupiter. There are important conversations you have to have with your spouse at this time. Even if you are not married but you have a long-term relationship, there are so many things which you have to discuss with your spouse at this time. There's so much energy which has to go into relationship affairs because there are so many things unsaid that need to come out now. Why is this? Because Mars is the ruler of your 3rd house of communication. Don't forget, Mars' 7th house is not a strong position for Mars. So the energy and the contentions probably coming from your spouse, not as much from yourself. And you have to sort of absorb these through your goodwill at this time. Jupiter in your 1st house makes you have a very happy disposition during these months. But Mars's aspect onto the 10th house shows you will have to face contention in your workplace. Quarrelsome people, difficult situations developing, and you mightn't feel up to it now, but you have to rise to the occasion to deal with these. Some of you may have to make actually unavoidable changes to your workplace because Mars's 8th aspect is onto the house of finance. So big financial changes come about now, but don't be afraid of these. They are leading you to more stability. Jupiter 1st house is going to protect you, and in 2022 he is going to move into your 2nd house of finances. So any losses now will be made up long term for certain. Mars and Venus, of course, conjuncting in the 7th house of relationship. If you are single, seeking a partner, could definitely bring somebody into your orbit. Venus, of course, rules the 4th house of your chart, so this may come from your mother's family or in the domestic environment. And siblings may be involved also because Mars rules this house. But here's the thing. Mars is weak, as I say, in this house, and Venus is fairly strong. So you've got to be careful that your attraction to somebody isn't overlooking who they are as a person, because they may not be showing themselves in their true light at this time. So a very strong attraction may be there, but you may need a little more time to get to know anybody that you first meet during these next few weeks. When the Sun comes into the 7th house to join with Mars after August the 17th, very good business opportunities may arise for those of you in any business situation. You can take advantage of these most definitely. Pisces, Moon and Lagna. Mars is such a good planet for you. He rules your 9th house. He takes you to higher knowledge and gives you experience and wisdom in your life because he gives you good connections with authority. And he also rules your house of finance. He's coming into the 6th house. Mars in an Upachaya house like this does so well for you. This is a much easier transit than the last transit, even though that was very dynamic for you. Mars in your 6th house now. It's time to get to grips with the health situations you've been letting slip. You know about this, whatever it is in your own case. It may be your diet, it may be medication, it may be something to do with your exercise routine, but there are pressing health problems and you need to get medical advice because the 4th aspect onto the 9th house means expert advice will be the best advice for you now. Mars aspect onto Jupiter, of course, in the 12th house of your chart, Jupiter being your Lord, will give you great insight and intuition at this time. You will have insight into almost every area of your life, coming mainly even in vivid dreams during this time. Take note of your dream life. But expenses may be mounting up because it's a house of loss and expenditure, and Mars is your 2nd house lord. Let the money go. It will all come back to you in the end. You have great faith in your financial affairs and it always works out for you. Many of you will have pilgrimage at this time. Foreign travel is definitely shown. Even if it is not actual foreign travel, you'll be traveling inside your mind because you're having enormous insight into religious and spiritual matters during these next few weeks. The 8th aspect of Mars onto the 1st house again means that you have to be very brave in taking the steps necessary to help your health at this time, not being backtracked, because Venus in the 6th house with Mars will make you a little bit lazy to take these changes. You have to be aware of it. But when the Sun comes into your 6th house after August the 17th, that's when you will definitely have all the answers you need to make your health situation better. And your work life as well, your daily routine and your working life will improve tremendously after August 17th. You will get so much done, it will be amazing. You will feel more in control of your daily life and in fact feel a lot more confident in yourself after August the 17th. Hope the readings were good for you, everybody, and you got understanding of the current transits. Don't forget to sub below if you're new to my channel. Goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.